Blood trailed behind her like a crimson signature across the dusty road. Sarah Calloway hadn't felt her feet in miles, hadn't remembered when the bleeding started. All she knew was the burning weight of the twins against her chest, their mewling cries growing fainter as the merciless sun climbed higher. Just a little further, she whispered, though her destination remained a mystery even to herself. Anywhere but back there. Anywhere but the smoking ruins of what had been their homestead 12 hours ago. When her knees finally buckled, Sarah didn't make a sound. She simply folded, collapsing into the dirt like a marionette with cut strings, twisting her body at the last moment to shield the infants from the impact. Cole Blackwood spotted the heap in the road from a quarter-mile away. Something about its stillness made him pull his stallion to a stop. Through the heat waves rising from the baked earth, he could make out the shape of a woman, and as he drew closer, the unmistakable sound of babies crying. "Damn it all," he muttered, dismounting quickly. Cole wasn't the type to get involved in others' misfortunes, not anymore. 3 years riding alone had taught him the wisdom of minding his own business, but babies changed things. The woman lay crumpled in the dirt, her dress torn and bloody at the hem. Beneath her protective embrace, 2 red-faced infants squirmed and wailed, no more than a few months old, twins identical as raindrops. "Ma'am," Cole removed his hat, kneeling beside her. When he rolled her gently onto her back, her eyes fluttered open, fever-bright and unfocused. "Don't let him find them," she whispered, fingers clutching weakly at his shirt. "He'll kill them too." Cole glanced down the empty road, stretching in both directions. Nothing but dust and silence for miles. "Who's after you, ma'am?" The woman's cracked lips parted, but no sound emerged. Her head lolled to the side as consciousness slipped away again. The baby's cries grew more insistent. Cole looked from them to his horse, calculating distances and possibilities. The nearest town was Mercy Creek, nearly 20 miles west. No doctor there, just a saloon and general store. The proper settlement of Redemption lay 40 miles east, too far for this woman in her condition. He was untying his saddle blanket when he noticed the dust cloud on the horizon. Riders, coming fast. Cole's hand moved instinctively to his holster as the woman's words echoed in his mind. "Don't let him find them, he'll kill them too." Cole made his decision in seconds. He spread the saddle blanket on the ground, carefully placed the twins in the center, and wrapped them securely. The babies quieted somewhat, perhaps soothed by the familiar scent of horse and leather. "You're coming with me, ma'am," he said, though he doubted she could hear him. He lifted her onto his horse first, then mounted behind her, cradling her limp body against his chest with one arm, while his other hand held the precious bundle of infants. He urged his mount off the main road, cutting across the scrubland toward a narrow canyon he knew provided shade and water. The approaching riders would pass them by if luck held. It didn't. "Blackwood," the voice rang out across the plain. "Hold up there." Cole recognized Sheriff Wade Thornton from Mercy Creek, a man he'd done his best to avoid since arriving in the territory. "She needs help," Cole called as the sheriff and his 2 deputies approached. Found her collapsed on the road. Thornton's eyes narrowed as he took in the scene, the bloodied woman, the blanket-wrapped babies, Cole's guarded expression. "That's Calloway's widow," said the younger deputy, Jenkins. "Their place burned down last night. Folks are saying outlaws." "What folks are saying," Thornton replied slowly, "is that she killed him herself, set the fire to cover it." Cole felt the woman stir against him. Her eyes opened briefly, filled with terror. "She's in no state to answer questions," Cole said firmly. "These babies need milk and shelter." Thornton dismounted, approaching Cole's horse. "Hand them over, Blackwood. We'll take proper care of them in town." Something in the sheriff's tone raised the hairs on Cole's neck. The older deputy wouldn't meet his eyes, studying the horizon instead. "And the mother?" Cole asked. "She'll face justice," Thornton said flatly. "If she makes it." Cole's gaze dropped to Thornton's hand, not near his gun, but fingering something in his pocket, a small object that caught the sunlight. golden. In that moment, Sarah Calloway's fingers tightened around Cole's wrist with surprising strength. "Please," she whispered. "Not him." The babies began to cry again, their wails cutting through the tense silence. "Looks like we got company," the older deputy suddenly announced, pointing north where a plume of dust signaled more riders approaching fast. "That'll be the Calloways," Jenkins said. "Dead man's brothers coming to claim what's theirs." Thornton's face hardened, hand over the woman and the children. "Blackwood, don't make this your fight. These children ain't property to be claimed." Cole said, his voice low and dangerous. "Neither is their mother." The sound of approaching hoofbeats grew louder. The babies' cries had subsided to whimpers, but their mother's breathing had grown shallow and rapid against Cole's chest. "You don't understand what you're getting involved in," Thornton said, stepping closer. "Those aren't just any twins. Calloway was promising them to both sides of a very ugly dispute." "What are you talking about?" Cole demanded. "Water rights," the older deputy muttered. "Calloway promised his firstborn would marry into the Hendersons to seal their agreement. Then his wife had twins, and he secretly promised the other to the Whitfields. Double-crossed everybody." Understanding dawned cold in Cole's gut. "So both families think they have claim to one of these children, and to the water rights that go with them," Thornton confirmed. "Calloway's brothers stand to profit either way, so long as the deals hold." Sarah stirred against Cole. "He sold them," she whispered, "before they were even born. When I refused." Her voice trailed off. The approaching riders crested the ridge. 5 men, all bearing the unmistakable Calloway features, hawk-like noses and coal-black hair. Their rifles glinted in the sun. "Last chance, Blackwood," Thornton said. "You're outnumbered. Hand them over. Ride away and live to see tomorrow." Cole studied the sheriff's face. "You're in their pocket too." Thornton didn't deny it. "It's just business. Nothing personal." The twins began to cry again, as if sensing the danger, their tiny faces scrunched red with effort, their fingers clutching at the saddle blanket. "Those children deserve better than to be bargaining chips," Cole said. "What they deserve don't matter," Thornton replied. "That's not how the world works." The Calloway brothers drew closer, dust billowing behind them. Cole could make out their expressions now, grim determination. "Where you planning to go anyway?" Thornton pressed. "Woman's bleeding out. Babies need milk. You got no supplies, no help waiting." Cole knew the sheriff was right. Sarah's skin had taken on a waxy pallor, her forehead burning with fever. The nearest doctor was in Redemption, and he'd never make it there with pursuers on his trail. The lead Calloway rider raised his hand, signaling his brothers to spread out in a half circle. "Time's up," Thornton said, his hand moving to his gun belt. "What's it gonna be?" Cole looked down at Sarah, her eyes fluttering open again. Despite her weakness, he saw fierce resolve there. "The mine," she whispered, so only he could hear. "Northern Ridge, Abel." The older deputy had circled behind them now. The Calloways were less than 100 yards away. Cole was surrounded, with a dying woman in his arms, 2 helpless infants, and 7 armed men closing in. Cole made his decision in the space between heartbeats. "Sorry about your day, Sheriff," he said, then spurred his horse hard, breaking through the gap between the deputies. His stallion responded instantly, lunging forward with powerful strides that nearly unseated them all. Shouts erupted behind him. A gunshot cracked, but Cole was already weaving through the scrub brush, heading north toward the ridgeline Sarah had mentioned. For 10 breathless minutes, he rode hard. The woman and babies clutched against him as the sound of pursuit faded temporarily. When he found a sheltered draw between 2 rocky outcroppings, Cole stopped to check on his passengers. Sarah's eyes were open, clearer now despite her pallor. "They won't expect the mine," she managed. "Abel, my brother, hiding there." Cole dampened his bandana from his canteen and pressed it gently to her forehead. "Save your strength." The twins had fallen quiet, lulled by the rhythm of the ride. Cole unwrapped them partially to check their condition. Two identical pairs of blue eyes stared up at him, unblinking. "Boys or girls?" he asked softly. "Girls," Sarah whispered. "Emma and Lily." A faint smile crossed her face. "I never told anyone which was born first, not even their father." Cole nodded, understanding the simple defiance in her act. "Why are you helping us?" Sarah asked, her voice barely audible. "You don't know me." Cole adjusted her position against him, supporting her more comfortably. "I knew a woman once. She had no one to help her when she needed it most." He fell silent, the memory washing over him. Sarah seemed to understand without further explanation. Her hand found his and squeezed weakly. "What's in the mine?" Cole asked. "Medicine, food." Her breathing grew labored. "Abel's been hiding there since the trouble started. He'll help us." One of the twins, Emma or Lily, Cole couldn't tell which, wrapped a tiny hand around his finger. The simple, trusting gesture knocked something loose inside him, something he'd thought long buried. "I lost a daughter," he said suddenly, the words emerging unbidden. 3 years ago, fever took her and my wife both." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry. Been riding alone since then," Cole continued, his voice rough, keeping clear of other folks' troubles. They sat in silence for a moment, connected by shared pain and unexpected trust. The sound of distant hoofbeats broke the spell. Cole peered through the rocks, spotting dust on the horizon. "They're coming," he said, carefully rewrapping the twins. "How much farther to the mine?" "Over that ridge," Sarah pointed with a trembling hand. "An hour maybe." Cole helped her back onto the horse. "We'll make it," he promised, though he wasn't sure if she would survive the journey. Her blood had soaked through his shirt where she leaned against him. As they set off again, the sun began its descent toward the western horizon. Ahead lay uncertain sanctuary, behind determined pursuers. Cole held the twins closer, feeling their hearts beating against his own. For the first time in 3 years, he had something worth fighting for. The abandoned mine entrance was half hidden by overgrown brush, barely visible in the fading light. Cole dismounted carefully, cradling Sarah in one arm and the twins in the other. "Abel," he called softly. "Abel Calloway." For several heartbeats, only silence answered. Then came the metallic click of a rifle being cocked. "Who's asking?" A shadow separated from the darkness of the mine entrance. "Your sister needs you," Cole replied simply. The man emerged fully, lean and wiry, with the same determined set to his jaw as Sarah. His eyes widened at the sight of his sister's condition. "Inside quickly," Abel urged, helping Cole carry Sarah into the mine. Oil lamps illuminated a surprisingly comfortable hideout, with provisions, bedding, and most importantly, medical supplies. "Outlaws raided a doctor's wagon last month," Abel explained, preparing a makeshift bed. "I took what I could salvage." Cole laid Sarah down gently, while Abel examined her wounds. The twins began to fuss, hungry and uncomfortable. "There's goat's milk," Abel said, nodding toward a small barrel. "Been keeping a nanny goat in the back chamber." While Abel tended to Sarah, Cole prepared milk for the twins, feeding them awkwardly but effectively. Outside, the sound of approaching riders echoed through the canyon. "They found us," Cole murmured, reaching for his gun. Abel's hand stopped him. "Not yet." He moved to the mine entrance, pulling a hidden lever. With a grinding rumble, rocks cascaded down, partially obscuring the opening, but leaving enough space for air. "Old mining trick," Abel explained. "From the outside it looks like a cave-in." Through a narrow gap they watched as Thornton and the Calloways searched the area, eventually moving on as darkness fell completely. Sarah stirred, her fever broken. "The girls," she whispered. "Safe," Cole assured her, bringing them to her side. "We all are." In the days that followed, Sarah slowly regained her strength. Abel revealed he'd been gathering evidence against Thornton and the Calloways, documents proving their water rights scheme and other corruptions, enough to bring territorial marshals down on them all. "What will you do now?" Cole asked Sarah one evening, as they sat at the mine entrance, watching the twins sleep. "Head west," she replied. Start over where nobody knows us. Cole nodded, his eyes on the horizon. West is a big place, easy to get lost in. Sarah's hand found his. Unless you have someone to find you. 5 years later, a small ranch stood nestled in a green valley of the Sierra foothills. 2 identical girls with dark braids chased each other around a corral, while their mother hung laundry on a line. When hoofbeats approached, the girls squealed with delight. "Papa's home," they cried in unison. Cole Blackwood dismounted, sweeping both girls into his arms at once. Over their heads, his eyes met Sarah's, warm with the quiet understanding of those who had survived the worst together. Behind them, twin rocking chairs sat side by side on the porch, facing west toward the setting sun.